My name is Lena. At 29, my life ran on precision, the same way my tech firm ran on compliance reports, black and white rules where one misplaced clause could cost millions. I found peace in that world of audits and risk mitigation because outside my office the rules were written by people who changed them whenever it suited their mood. People like Karen Whitaker, president of the Aspen Ridge HOA, the gleaming Denver condo community that looked like a postcard until you read the 30-page covenant packet. On paper, it was paradise, gated lawns, sparkling pool, zero tolerance for weeds taller than 2 inches. In reality, it was Karen's personal fiefdom, where she patrolled in pastel cardigans, clipboard in hand, finding anyone whose welcome mat was the wrong shade of beige, while her own garage overflowed with holiday decorations that violated every single rule she enforced. I had bought Unit 4B 2 years ago, the corner unit with a walk-in closet, soaking tub, and private courtyard that overlooked the mountains. My excellent credit and steady paycheck let me negotiate the purchase, and I immediately poured my own money into upgrades because the HOA encouraged residents to keep property values high or else. New high-efficiency HVAC system, $15,000. Custom kitchen cabinets, $3,000. Full carpet replacement in the bedrooms, another $2,000. Water heater upgrade, $1,800. Every receipt stamped with HOA approval because I followed their precious process. I paid 70% of the special assessments, too, quietly covering shortfalls when Karen's community fund mysteriously ran dry. I never complained. I was the reliable one, the single professional who never made a fuss. Until the email hit my inbox at 4:52 p.m. on a Tuesday. Subject line, "We decided already." My stomach dropped before I even opened it. Karen's clipped tone filled the screen. "Lena, for the good of the community, Bree is moving back this weekend with the baby on the way and her divorce mess. We think it's best she has your master unit. It's bigger, gets more light, has the attached bath, perfect for a new mom. You could take the basement unit. We'll help move your things Saturday. It's the most practical solution. I know you'll understand. We decided already, so please don't make a fuss." I stared at those words the same way I stared at flawed corporate policies. We, the Royal HOA Board, Karen, Richard, and now Bree. Decided already, the door slammed shut. Don't make a fuss, the unofficial motto of Aspen Ridge, right up there with grass, must be 2 inches, and no political flags over 3 feet. My compliance brain immediately dissected it. Practical solution code for "we don't care about your investment." I know you'll understand code for "any objection makes you the villain." The basement unit wasn't even a unit, it was the dank ground floor storage space they called finished, but everyone knew it was where broken lawn mowers and holiday junk went to die. Cold concrete walls, 2 tiny windows that stared at the dumpster, and a faint smell of mildew and broken dreams. That was supposed to be my reward for bankrolling the community's upgrades. I minimized the email, my face, a professional mask, in the open plan office. Finished my report on autopilot, every regulation I cited tasting like bitter irony. I enforced fairness for a living, yet my own neighborhood ran on Karen's whims. The drive home through the gated entrance felt heavier than usual. I pulled into my assigned spot, the one with the custom stone border I had paid for, and saw Richard's oversized truck already parked crooked, taking up 2 spaces. Of course, the United Front was assembled. I walked into the community clubhouse where they had staged the ambush. Karen stood in the kitchenette pouring casserole from the oven, looking every inch the concerned neighborhood mom. Bree sat at the table, one hand on her tiny bump, eyes wide and glistening, the performance perfected since childhood. Richard lounged on the sofa, beer in hand. They all turned when I entered, expressions a mix of fake warmth and nervous anticipation, waiting for the fuss. I set my bag down, voice quiet but cutting. "I read your email." The air thickened. Karen's smile went brittle. "Well, good, then you understand. We can start moving your things after the board meeting Saturday. It won't take long." She turned away, busying herself with the casserole, transparent attempt to end the conversation. Bree's voice quavered perfectly. Lena, please, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't for the baby. My doctor says I need to avoid stress. The basement unit is so dark. I kept my eyes on Karen's back. The basement is fine for me, but not for you, even though I paid for the roof over every unit here, including the upgrades you're now claiming for your daughter. Karen flinched. Richard grunted from the sofa, the sound of a man whose evening of sports had been interrupted. That's not a fair way to put it. Karen snapped, finally turning her face hardening into the weary martyr mask she wore whenever challenged. We are a community. We support each other. Right now, Bree needs our support. She's pregnant and alone, and I am the resident who makes this community possible. I replied, level though it cost me. The one whose money upgraded the pool, the gate, the landscaping. A little discussion instead of a decree would be nice. Nothing to discuss. Richard heaved himself up, lumbering into the kitchen, barrel-chested and red-faced, the man who took up space and expected deference. He had been on the board since day one, never once treating me like anything but a walking checkbook. Karen made a decision for the good of the community. Bree needs that unit. End of story. Dinner was suffocating. We sat at the table my salary had indirectly funded, eating food bought with assessments I covered. Bree picked at her plate, sighing dramatically. Karen ate with grim determination. Richard shoveled food like his appetite entitled him to dictate everyone's life. I barely tasted anything, my mind already calculating, rereading the invisible covenants, finding them null and void. They weren't asking for my unit. They were asking me to accept my role, the utility, the resource, the one who gives but is never entitled to receive. I waited until Richard finished his second plate. Placed my fork down precisely. I considered the email, and I'm afraid I can't agree. Moving me to the basement unit significantly degrades my living conditions while I remain the primary financial contributor. Bree gasped theatrically. Richard scoffed. What the hell does equitable have to do with community? Your neighbor is in trouble. You should be happy to help. I've been helping, I said, voice rising despite myself. For 2 years, I've sacrificed my own goals to keep this place afloat. I never asked for anything except respect and the space I paid for. Taking that away isn't support. It's exploitation. Karen's face flushed. Lena, that is a horrible thing to say. The words tumble hot and sharp. I work 60 hours a week. I come home to the one sanctuary I built, and now I'm being kicked out by email. It's disrespectful. It's demeaning. It's unfair. Unfair hung electric. Faster than I could process, Richard lunged across the table, his open palm cracking against my cheek. My head snapped sideways, stars exploding behind my eyes, metallic taste flooding my mouth. Silence absolute. Bree stared, mouth open. Richard stood, chest heaving, hands still raised. Karen's eyes were stone cold, not on him, on me. Don't you dare raise your voice in this community. That was the moment of clarity. The slap came from Richard, but the wound came from her. In her world, the violence wasn't the problem, my protest was. Lena does not make a fuss, the HOA version of the family motto. I said nothing more. Pushed my chair back, walked straight to the door that led to the basement unit, each step confirming my new status. I was no longer a valued resident. I was a tenant of the lowest level, literally and figuratively. That night, in the cold concrete box, I didn't sleep. The throbbing in my cheek sharpened my thoughts into diamond clarity. They thought they had one, but they had just sent me to my office, and the work was about to begin. The first night in the basement unit was a masterclass in cold calculation. Every time I drifted off, the ghost of Richard's hand jolted me awake. I lay on a lumpy futon, staring at exposed pipes, the damp chill seeping through the thin mattress, clarifying everything. My brain, the same one that audited million-dollar contracts, now ran diagnostics on my own life. A violation had occurred. A foundational covenant breached. First step, review the documentation. At 3 a.m., I slipped upstairs, the complex silent as a tomb. The HOA office was in the clubhouse. Karen never logged out of the community desktop. I knew the password because I had set up the system last year as a favor. I opened the filing cabinet marked covenants. The original declaration was right on top my signature firm, at the bottom Karen's a flighty scroll beside it. Primary owner Lena M. Wallace. Behind it a newer folder labeled Unit Transfer Confidential. My breath caught. The document outlined a transfer beginning next month, removing me as owner of Record Unit 4B, reassigned to Bree Whitaker, Jensen Richard, and Karen as co-occupants. My name erased except as the party to be removed. They had been planning this for weeks. The email wasn't a proposal, it was notification of my obsolescence. I turned to the desktop, searched the inbox. Chain after chain between Karen and the management company Peak Property Services. Half-truths about how the older resident was pursuing opportunities elsewhere and Bree needed the unit for the baby. Then a forwarded message from Richard a month earlier. Are you sure this is a good idea, Karen? We can't afford the assessments without her paying the big share. Bree's got nothing. Karen's reply was brutal. It will be fine. Once the baby comes, Bree gets support. We just have to get Lena's name off the declaration first. Think of her as a transitional homeowner. She served her purpose of getting us into a nice, upgraded community. Now it's time to focus on our real family. Transitional homeowner. The phrase landed like ice water. Not anger, just diamond-hard clarity. I was a bridge to be crossed and burned. I plugged in my USB drive, downloaded every email, saved bank statements, 2 years of payments, every special assessment, every grocery run for community events. Printed receipts for every improvement, the HVAC, the cabinets, the carpets, the water heater, total $18,542.78. The printer's software was the most satisfying sound I had ever heard. Page by page, evidence of my servitude slid out. Original declaration, my name bold. New transfer, my name erased. The damning email centered in bold. Bank statements highlighted. When the sky lightened, I held a thick dossier justice in paper form. Back in the basement, I turned the corner into a war room, scanned everything in a labeled PDFs. Exhibit A declarations. Exhibit B payments. Exhibit C correspondence. Exhibit D capital improvements. Then I drafted the email, not a plea, a formal notice. To Carol Jenkins at Peak Property Services, CC Legal Department. Subject: formal complaint and demand for financial restitution, property 2148. Aspen Ridge Lane Unit 4B, breach of Clause 12.1. Dear MS. Jenkins, this email serves as formal complaint regarding material breach of the condominium declaration for which I am primary owner of record. A unit transfer is being processed without my knowledge or consent, initiated by Board President Karen Whitaker. See attached Exhibit A. Per Clause 12.1, any unilateral action requires 60-day written notice to primary owner. I received none. This constitutes material breach. Pursuant to rights granted, I file formal claim for restitution of all non-reimbursed board-approved capital improvements totaling $18,542.78 itemized below. HVAC replacement, kitchen, refacing, carpet replacement, water heater, and more. Attached all supporting documentation. Cease processing unauthorized transfer immediately. This claim must be settled before any changes. Failure will result in further legal action. Sincerely, Lena M. Wallace, primary owner of record. I attached the zip file, read it 3 times, tone neutral, uncompromising. Click send. The whoosh echoed like a gunshot in the quiet. Upstairs, the floorboards creaked, someone stirring, blissfully unaware the bomb was now ticking in the foundations. For 2 days, I lived double life. Left before dawn, came home late, took meals in the basement, polite but distant. They mistook silence for submission. Karen's eyes held relief, Richard's face smug satisfaction. They thought the storm passed. Meanwhile, at lunch, I found a short-term corporate studio downtown paid deposit. Escape hatch secured. Packing happened at night, suitcases only. Professional wardrobe documents, laptop, sentimental items, a book from my real father, a framed photo. I left the furniture, the art, the life I built. No sadness, just cleansing detachment. My final masterpiece, the transition binder, 4-inch black, 3-ring heavy duty. Tab professionally. Financial contributions summary, $24,117.34 highlighted statements. Property capital improvements, before and after photos, dingy to modern. Key correspondence, the original email, the damning transitional homeowner line, isolated in bold. Declaration violation, clause 12.1, circled in red, transfer agreement with names, redacted, violation pending. On Saturday night, they were in the clubhouse watching a movie. Bree, curled on the sofa, Richard in recliner, Karen, with snacks. Perfect. HOA family portrait. I slipped out the side door, loaded suitcases. Last trip, I placed the binder dead center on the granite island. I had paid to install thick black monolith obituary for the community I once believed in. Closed the door, softly latch, clicking finality. Drove away, leaving Aspen Ridge in the rear view, the trap set. The first week in my sterile studio was quiet reconstruction. No television, no passive-aggressive sighs, no resentful footsteps above. Only me responsible for myself. I woke, ran along Cherry Creek, arrived at work, clear-headed, closed 2 major projects. After hours, simple dinner hours of reading. Breathing air free of unspoken obligation. During that week, nothing from Aspen Ridge. They found the binder Sunday morning. I could picture Karen's confusion to rage, Richard's bluster, Bree's tears. Their silence was punishment, pretending I no longer existed. They misunderstood. I wasn't the problem anymore. The declaration was. The call came Monday afternoon. I was reviewing a vendor agreement, phone face down. Mom flashed, but it was Karen. I let it ring twice, then answered, said nothing. Her voice erupted, ragged shriek stripped of condescending calm. Lena, what did you do? Hello, Karen. You'll have to be more specific. Don't play dumb. We got a registered letter from Peak Property. Legal action, penalties, ridiculous amount of money. It says we're in breach, citing clause 12.1, because we owe $18,542 for the improvements. If we don't pay in 14 days, fines, eviction proceedings, credit bureaus. I feigned mild curiosity. That sounds serious. What did it say exactly? Frantic paper, rustling sob, probably Bree in background. It says because we owe for the house, the upgrades. Lena, they're threatening to evict us. Bree is pregnant. She's supposed to be on bed rest. How could you do this to the community? So cruel. Cruel. The word almost made me laugh. I was cruel for enforcing a contract. They were justified for slapping me and plotting to erase me. First, this is not something I did. This is consequence of action you initiated. You attempted unilateral removal without consent or 60-day notice. That is the definition of breach. But we don't have that money. It was for the community. It made everything nicer for everyone. It was my money. And the declaration you all signed included a safety clause to protect my investment. I am simply invoking the terms. Bree is having a panic attack. The stress could hurt the baby. Don't you care? Bree's pregnancy was the reason you gave for violating my rights as owner. You can't use her as both weapon and victim. Choked, sputtering. She was losing. You have to fix this. Call them, tell them it was misunderstanding. You move back in. Bree can take the guest room. Please. The offer pathetic. A week ago, I was burdened. Now, with invoice, I was valued. No. The transition binder contained all documentation. This is now legal matter between you as remaining owners and Peak Property. I am no longer involved. You started this. You're trying to ruin us. No. You made a business decision. You decided my contributions were no longer worth the burden of my presence. Now you're dealing with the severance package. I have to get back to work. I ended the call, cutting her protests mid-syllable. Clean, powerful silence. Everything's simple when you had leverage. Phone call stopped after that first panic. Heavy silence fell, the sound of enemy regrouping. I knew pride, especially Richard's, wouldn't allow surrender. Denial then counter-threat. I waited for the knock. It came Thursday, but not at my studio at my office. Meeting interrupted, desk phone, buzz. Brenda from front desk hushed. Lena's so sorry, but there's a man, mister. Jensen, no appointment, being insistent. Cold clarity. Intimidation in professional space. Thank you, Brenda. He is my former board associate. Ask him to wait in guest meeting room. I'll be down in 5. Alert security to remain in lobby. I excused myself from meeting, grabbed tiny black USB drive, contingency copy of the binder. Richard paced the glass-walled room, red-faced, sweating in denim jacket bowl in corporate china shop. 2 security guards stood respectful distance. I slid door open, stood by exit, arms crossed, clear egress. What do you want, Richard? He spun, eyes blazing. Call off this blackmail, this extortion. You think you can ruin the community, destroy everything, and walk away? I said nothing, watched, expression unreadable. Silence enraged him more. Karen is a wreck, Bree. Can't stop crying, you're putting the baby at risk. I spoke to a lawyer. We're suing you for harassment, emotional distress. We'll take everything, you ungrateful little. He waited for tears, screams, please. I gave nothing. His tirade faltered, uncertainty creeping. Did you hear me? We're suing. I reached in a pocket, placed USB on table, tiny click. He stared confused. What the hell is that? I spoke low, certain. I work in compliance, Richard. My job is understanding contracts, documenting evidence, assessing liability. I know every line of the declaration you violated. Everything on that drive proves it, complete, digital, copied bank statements, invoices, every email Karen sent, including the one where she called me transitional homeowner, an outline plan to remove me. You don't have a lawyer, because if you did, he would tell you, countersuit, laughable. Written correspondence, premeditated bad faith. You have massive liability. I pushed drive toward him. Take it to a real lawyer. Let him read the words. He'll advise you to tell Peak Property you intend to pay full amount owed. I turned, slid door open. Brenda, my former associate, is leaving. Security will show him out. Walked to elevator, heels clicking purposefully. Threat dismantled, documented, dismissed. The confrontation was last direct contact. Week of profound strategic silence followed. I knew he took the drive. Pictured him shopping strip mall, lawyers booming his version, ungrateful resident, benevolent board. Then lawyer plugged USB, story changed. I waited, different communication. Tuesday, 11:02 a.m. Email from Peak Property Legal Department, CC'd to me, and registered mail to Clubhouse. Subject, official notice of material breach and demand for remedy, Unit 4B. Cold, impersonal guillotine. Attached PDF 3-page letter, acknowledged, my complaint documentation, reviewed, claims valid, indisputable. Attempted transfer, fraudulent failure, 60-day, notice, material breach. Ultimatum, 3 options within 14 days. 1, immediate withdrawal, reinstatement, original terms, Lena, primary owner, financial claim, settled privately. 2, settlement and vacation, pay, full restitution, escrow, breach, remedied, vacate within 30 days. 3, failure, initiate civil proceedings, eviction, damages, debt to collections, reported, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, severe credit impact. Last paragraph, kill shot, ruined credit, permanent stain, financial death sentence. Richard, knife-edged debt, Bree, single mom, baby, hole, never climb out. I save PDF, closed email. Machine running on its own. Days ticked, 7, 8, 9. Silence, no longer strategy, agonizing surrender. Trapped between impossible debt and public humiliation. No good options, all burned. 10th day email from legal follow-up, resolution regarding Unit 4B. Attached, scanned, notarized letter signatures, shaky, Sarah, Karen, Richard, Bree, Whitaker, Jensen. Formal, humiliating withdrawal, fraudulent transfer. Single paragraph drafted by lawyer admitting bare minimum, fault rescinding due unforeseen personal circumstances. Symphony of defeat. But body of message, new unexpected proposal. MS. Wallace in light of resolution and recognition exemplary ownership, record peak property, offers new 1-year declaration for Unit 4, be listing you sole primary owner, removing all other occupants. Reduced rate 10% below market. Sole legal control. Please confirm we can draft immediately. Irony thick. 2 weeks ago, inconvenient footnote, now valued, owner discount. My credit income payment history made me more asset than 3 of them combined. System not just vindicated, actively courting me. Moment I pictured signing, holding document master of unit. Telling them they lived at my sufferance. Power, absolute. Image hollow victory sour. Why be warden of own prison? Unit 4B contaminated site, every room haunted by documented betrayal. New carpets monument to foolishness modern kitchen, daily reminder price of their comfort. Looked around my small studio, not grand, no soaking tub, but mine. Silence bomb walls, not saturated emotional neglect, blank page, story my own. Returning even queen life sentence chaining to people I escaped. Compliance lesson when identify liability, don't manage eliminate. Replied lawyer short polite. Thank you generous, offer appreciate confidence. However secured, alternative housing better suits needs. Will not renew. Coordinate final walkthrough return, keys, finalize security deposit. Sent. One tie severed. Open new email to Karen single line. Subject final note. Thank you for proving I was right to prepare for the clause. Hit send. Then blocked her Richard Bree. Digital amputation complete. No more calls, text, door bricked over. They made decision, now I made mine. Email period, end, long, painful sentence. Expected silence, craved it. Got a few days. Quiet, tangible, soothed, frayed soul. Finalized, deposit charity, picked furniture, methodically erasing myself. But creature like Richard doesn't accept closed door sees wall to smash. Call came direct line office, bypassing desk. Strange out-of-state number professional instinct answered. Lena Wallace. You think you're so smart, don't you? Low, guttural snarl, distorted rage. Richard. Hiding behind lawyers, fancy emails. You left us with nothing. We have to leave. Bree has to find place month before baby. Karen's sick with worry. You did this destroyed community. Words meant daggers, felt pebbles against fortress. Family he described, fantasy shattered under slightest weight. Stood, walked to window, looked Denver streets, below world, moving unaware, pathetic, desperate man screaming. Profound pity. King lost kingdom, burned himself. Voice soft, no anger, no triumph, deep weary truth. Richard, that community didn't choose me long time ago. I just finally decided stop choosing them. Ended call, blocked number. Last piece data, needed close case. Next morning didn't go work, went office family law attorney, specialized harassment, restraining orders. Brought timeline contact, log final call, workplace copy, transitional homeowner email proof, prior malicious intent. Lawyer listen grim. Call to workplace, clear escalation, attempt interfere, livelihood enough to proceed. Didn't file restraining order, didn't want court drama. Opted cleaner, more corporate. Lawyer drafted formal cease and desist, citing statutes, harassment, stalking any further contact, direct, indirect, phone, email, person immediate legal action, criminal charges. Sent courier to clubhouse legal firewall, final professionally constructed boundary they couldn't cross without severe consequences. That evening return apartment sun, setting long golden rays across floor. Space no longer temporary shelter home. Air clean, future own. Pour glass wine sat small desk. Spread before me, not legal document, bank statement, business plan. Project worked, quiet moments, past week seed idea, grown, fertile ground, newfound freedom. Cover page typed name, the clause agency. Mission statement, compliance, strategic documentation, consultancy, dedicated, empowering homeowners, financially, contractually marginalized, familial, professional settings. We turn fine print into your front line. Plan detailed, outlined services, women, navigating HOA disputes, hidden special assessments, daughters, trapped coercive neighborhood arrangements, female owners, pushed out own communities. Plan, take greatest pain, forge weapon others. Teach, build, own binders, find safety clauses, turn system, designed, overlook them, tool liberation. Would-be compliance specialist, voiceless. Last rays sun, illuminated pages, black ink, stark white paper. Thought unit, left behind, place, shadow, secrets. Here small quiet room, only light. Richard accused, destroying community wrong. Hadn't destroyed anything. Finished own transition. Finally fully complied, truth set free. You know the rest. The petty fines stopped overnight. Karen's clipboard mysteriously disappeared from patrols. The new owners of Unit 4B, whoever they were, learned quickly the HOA president no longer held quite the same swagger. Bree found another place somewhere far from Aspen Ridge, her baby born, without the stress of basement concrete and broken covenants. Richard's truck was seen less often, the engine sounding a little less confident. And me? I sit here in my quiet studio building the clause agency, one client at a time, watching women discover the same power I did the day I hit send on that email. Because here's the thing about HOA Karens, they thrive in the dark where no one reads the fine print. But once you shine a light, once you print every receipt, once you invoke the exact clause they forgot existed, they don't just fold, they evaporate. The community looks peaceful again, but the real peace is the kind you carry inside, the kind no clipboard, no pastel cardigan, no royal we can ever take away. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It means the world to me. I'd love to build a community right here, so please drop a comment below and let me know where you're listening from today. It's amazing to see how far these stories can travel. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps. And if you want to give it an extra boost, hit that hype button to help more people find and hear this story. Thank you again for being here.